To me, I transfer it more into performance theory and think about theater history and what happens between the transition. I mean, if you just tape a theater production and then watch it, you lose so much.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's I would say it's the same thing in poetry, but it's more immediate what you do. So it works like on YouTube. But still, I'm interested in the part that doesn't work, the performance part.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't like it. I don't like it when people come in to the theater experience with cameras. For some reason, it's almost just, I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. I don't like it. I think we lose a lot when it shows up on the screen. It's also cut a certain way, and it can be edited to manipulate better entertainment value, you know, but at the same time, there's nothing like being in the experience at that time, and that's what you take away that no one could get back because it was only happened once.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, you know, we were just in South Africa, and the guy came with a camera and sat on the first row and taped my whole show, my play, and I felt like it was an insult. It was like a disrespect to me for him to do that because it wasn't fair to show this work on camera. This work was not meant for that. And he walked away, and I had to take the rights away from him, you know, and say he couldn't use that because it's unfair. You know, not necessarily take it away. You know, you want things to be documented later because who doesn't want to see Spalding and Gray now? Now we can't see him live, so we can see him on film. But, you know, I also felt like what he was doing, he was in the first row, so the audience were watching a camera guy shooting a live show. And it was a little bit like, you're taking that away from everybody, you know?
Yeah.
It's a live art. There's you can't take, that's the thing about theater, and that's why I don't mind the prices, because it's really priceless.
Yeah, especially in the States. I mean, a Hollywood show is...
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The Broadway shows are very expensive, but I kind of get it. You know, I kind of get why. I kind of get the kind of you know, if you want to work hard to pay for that moment in your life. You know?
Well, because it's a real experience. It'll last longer. Go ahead, Paul.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I wanted to say something a while ago about the poetry that you made a comment on. The poetry without the poetry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I almost forgot my point, but I held on to it.
Good work.
To me, when I'm performing and if somebody doesn't think that it's poetry, it doesn't really affect me as much as I thought it was going to be, because as long as the people that are there watching the show are entertained and have a good time and they're getting our message that we're saying, you could call it, to me, you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it stand-up, you can call it whatever, just as long as I'm looking down and I'm seeing your faces, you're smiling, you come up after me and you're like, oh my God, that was so incredible. I enjoyed the whole show, blah, 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 blah. If you say, I enjoyed the whole show of blah, 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 whatever you want to call it, that's fine. I know what it is. It's poetry to me. But whatever you call it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me.
But it's also interesting that the big show in the Contemporary Art Museum of Barcelona, TUPP, I think it's called, and it's called Theater Without Theater, and it mainly consists of everybody I respect within theater. So.
Oh, yeah, so there. So.
Thank you.
I'm the poet, but I'm the
I
poem.
would like to say something.
Y'all.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I saw your show yesterday and I thought it was so fresh because you were so different. And I felt like you were taking this spoken word further on as an art form instead of relying on traditions from that I don't know anything about. So I felt it was a great show. And it's poetry.
I mean, you know why I walk through the audience? It's not to like jerk off and let you know that I'm mobile. You know what I mean? It's because depth of field, human eye, the ability to take in a whole room, frame of reference, right? If I just see the YouTube clip of this and the guy has the camera only on you, I miss everything going on here. And I can't take advantage of all of these things. I can't take advantage of, regardless how the hand moves forward and back on a screen, the screen is the same distance. You know, this is just back to the difference between the YouTube and the live. And then beyond that, right? The reason why I want to illustrate those moments is because it's a poetic message in itself for me to address that more and more in the United States, young people that I perform in front of at colleges are incapable of discerning physically. Theoretically, they know they're at a live performance. But physically, they've seen so many more videos than live shows,
Right.
they're unable to participate in a live show. So I move right into their fucking grill so they can smell me.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
Yeah, I experienced that a long time ago. Also, I worked on a theater show in Los Angeles. They do Shakespeare in the park kind of thing. There's not so many parks, as we know, in Los Angeles. So they so they do it more in downtown Los Angeles, like in the back of an office building, and
Right.
people at the park. And then some kids were there as we were setting up. It was kind of a poor set and things, and it was collecting for homeless people. So we were getting food instead of buying tickets. And the kids were watching the actors as they were setting up their microphones, and I was the stagehand.
Oh, wow.
And the kids were watching this, and they were like, "When does the movie start?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's not a movie." What?
Yeah.
They really didn't know what theater was, what we were going to do. So they were expecting kind of a screen, but they were interested, and they were there. I mean, this was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We were setting up, and
Well, especially in Los Angeles, people are so built,
Yeah.
spend so much time building sets.
yeah.
Ah.
Maybe,
You know, it's like everywhere you go, someone's building a set. It's important, right? Like,
Maybe
you know,
that's what they're
there's constantly
referring to,
movies
actually.
being made. And you go to a park and you see someone building something. You think that there's
Make a film.
down the street there's 2 blocks full of trucks and they're building.
So
a
they
set.
weren't referring to the actual movie.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
actually
it's everywhere.
shooting.
They're
the
shooting
movie.
all the time.
It took me some years.
There is theater in LA. There's a lot of theater in LA. Unfortunately.
It's not supported.
Any more questions from the audience? I'm gonna sneak into the autonomous actor thing, otherwise, because I'm interested. Yeah. No, the autonomous actor in this. I will explain. But we have a question.
I have a question about the poetry slam scene in
Mhm.
America. I don't know much about it, but do you compete also in poetry slam?
You also say the difference. That's not clear to everybody.
Yeah.
Slam and spoken word, because not everybody. Yeah.
Well, I'm not qualified to really speak on it well, but I will say that I have a lot of respect for it, where most people think I wouldn't. I have a lot of respect for the poetry slam scene because that's where these guys originated from, and
That's
where
how
I
it began.
Yeah.
Do you know what a poetry slam is?
So everybody-
Yeah, I do, but maybe...
Nobody knows what a poetry slam is.
Okay, so in the United States, a man named Mark Smith, this is how the legend goes, right?
Yeah.
A man in Chicago named Mark Smith at a bar called the Green Mill would have poetry readings. And everyone would be drinking at the bar, talking, yapping, not listening to the words. And he was like, geez, how do I get people to listen to these words? So he created a construct. He made it a competition. He created this competition to engage the audience, initially to root for people as a means to get them to listen, because then they have their favorites and they have the people they don't like, and they don't like the scores. It's 0 to 10 like an Olympic style thing, right? And that grew into a national competition in which cities send their teams to go compete in this Olympic style thing. And it's kind of gone beyond that now, as people have sort of lost track of the idea that it's actually for the audience, and have sort of gotten caught up in the judgment of who is better, right? Because the higher score means you win, you are better. And so poets have gotten somewhat lost in that, as opposed to the original reason for the construct. As for myself, when I was younger, much more megalomaniacal, much more arrogant. I wanted to win. I was so insecure that I had to win to feel important and valuable. So I've been in many poetry slams. I've been on this finals, what they call the finals stage, 4 times. I've been on 2 championship teams. This was when I was like, I guess up until I was like 23 or 24, something like that. And I had a great time. It fit where I was in my life and what I valued in my life at the time. But since then, I have not been in the poetry slam.